When you think of working for the game industry, you either think of a AAA studio or an indie studio. In this Creator Classroom, we take a very close look at the pluses and minuses of working for either industry. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear indication of where you want your career to go.
Blow up.
Hello everyone, I'm Teal.
And I'm Teal.
We're with Studio Blue.
Thank you for joining us for our Creator Classroom. Today's topic is, should you work for an indie or AAA studio?
Yeah, it's an analysis of the game industry's polar opposites. First off, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who, hey, yeah, thank you. Glad you like Gryphon. Welcome everyone to the stream. Gryphon and all the new peoples. Wolf, yes. Back-to-back Studio Blue. So I want to give a huge shout out, thank you to Dageka RPG Maker Web. We just hosted our first of hopefully many RPG Maker theaters, which is where we go through their games, RPG Maker games in the community, and critique them.
Yeah.
We had a great game with Star Mage and Barry B. Hello Valborn, hello Chaos, hello Reverie. So this is going to be our new lineup for the time being. We are going to do our not creator classrooms. We're going to do our RPG Maker theater earlier in the evening, like we usually do.
Right.
And then take a quick break and then do our creator classroom.
Right.
Normally it'll be a 30-minute break, but we legitimately ran over.
Ran over.
Thanks to a boss battle. So we're going to go in. We actually chose tonight one of the easier ones for us. It's more discussion based. Yes. Because this is the first time we've done this. Right. So we wanted to make sure that the back-to-back was in a way that you guys don't lose any quality. Yeah. So anyway, I also want to give a huge shout out to Touch Fuzzy, Drifty from Driftwood Gaming, T, they were giving us support in the back end, and then all of our fans out there, every last one of you guys who showed up for the stream. Yes. We love you guys. Let's jump in.
Let's just jump right in.
Let's talk about this. So this is a very big issue. You know, outside of wanting to work, hey Reverie, I think I said hey Reverie. Outside of wanting to work in the game industry as a solo developer, you really only have two options, and that should you work for an indie or a AAA studio. Right. And you may think, like, have a preconception in your head that, oh, I always want to work for indie or I always want to work for AAA, but it's not as cut and dry as you think. No, it's not. It's not. So, if you want to be a solo developer and nothing else, please continue to watch. You may learn something, but if you ever want to work for another studio or try to, start your own indie studio, this video will help. It's a primer for that. It'll help you make your decision. Yes. Okay. So Teal's going to be manning the lecture, and I'll be throwing out comments and kind of promoting discussion. Yes. All right, so next slide, please. Next slide. All right. Okay, so this is our purpose. We want to compare the two types of studios to see which one is right for you. Right. Next slide. No problem. Okay, here's our agenda for today's lecture. Hello, Berkeleyos. How are you doing? And yes, to work for studio, get experience, share knowledge with. Well, Berkeleyos, you're not far off. And your discussion that we had on the AMA last Friday actually pushed Teal and I in the direction of doing this one. So go ahead and take it, honey. Okay, so we're going to review the history of how AAA studios came to be. Yep. Then we're going to discuss the history of indie game development. Yep. We'll be analyzing the strengths and weaknesses of both. And then we will recommend which one to pursue. Yes. And that's dependent upon what you want out of your game development career. Absolutely. As I said before, this is a heavy discussion-based classroom, so Teal's not going to forge ahead at the speed of light. I will not, no. Right. We're going to go over the points and talk with you guys. This is very similar to the one we did on problems in the game industry, as well as being a YouTuber. Yeah. Also, welcome to the stream, Star Mage. Thank you for the follow earlier, and man, we were honored to do your game. So, yes. Hopefully, everybody learned something. Before I go on, please note that being a solo developer is beyond the scope of this classroom. Right. We're going to have to actually have a classroom specifically on that. Because solos is very different. Yes, it is very different. BG, oh man, Wolf, we love you so much. Thank you so much for stopping by earlier. all the time. See you around, bud.
Yeah, have a good evening, Wolf.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, next slide, please.
Slide.
Okay. The origins of the term AAA.
It's all about dinosaurs.
This term allegedly began being used in the late 90s to describe blockbuster games with high-quality graphics, orchestral soundtracks, and top-rate production value. Final Fantasy VII is widely considered one of the first AAA titles in the industry.
Right. Now, that is not a guarantee. There are certain people who have worked for companies who remember hearing that term back in the 80s. You know, when anything less than A quality was shite.
Yeah.
So we are going off of a spitball from the research we've done and our knowledge of the industry, but do not take that as an absolute.
The term itself is a callback to the film industry, where anything that isn't a blockbuster or A quality is considered a B movie. The idea of using 3 A's is likely hyperbole to show the best of the very best.
Right, so let me talk a little bit about this, because as I talked about in the last stream, the one we just did with RPG Maker, prior to getting involved in the game industry, I was in the film industry, mostly as a student, but doing a lot of indie films through UNO, as well as working on different sets. I actually worked on the set of Ray, the Ray Charles film. I love film, but film has a way of literally putting a line between what they consider to be A quality, which is Hollywood-style budgets, you know, the big budgets, and what they don't. And back in the day, if you weren't a Hollywood or a New York level, you were considered a B-rate movie, regardless of how good the movie actually was. They didn't care about the directing. Hey, human, welcome to the stream. They didn't care about the directing, the acting, the script. They cared about the amount of money poured into it. That elitism caused a huge fracture in the film industry for the longest time.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we have the indie film industry, and that's changed. Well, when the gaming industry started to push forward, and if you actually look at it, the game industry tries to emulate the film industry.
It does.
Often to its failure, unfortunately. And they wanted to have a way of kind of pushing themselves in the same direction. We're the film industry, except with games.
Right.
And that's where the whole thing of A quality versus B rate, you know, A rate, B rate. And the whole hyperbole thing that Teal just mentioned is very universally the U.S.
Yeah.
We're not just gold, we're gold, you know, so we're not just A, we're AA, and eventually AAA. So the point is, Teal, what is the point of calling it AAA?
Well, no one knows exactly where it started, but hey, it's now the universally accepted norm, so we may as well just keep going with it.
Right. So there are a lot of stories on where it came around, but every single story conflicts. So literally at this point, it's, there are ribs, then there are Texas-sized ribs.
That's right.
Hey, Booba Hotep, good to see you. Welcome to the stream. It shows up first in the phone book. Yeah, exactly, Gryphon. If you put 3 A's, it's first on your folder on Windows, right?
Yes, right.
Exactly. Okay, so he says the reason why they're called B movies is because AAA movies keep taking a battering from... Oh, look at your boy Wicked.
Oh.
By the way, SB, thank you for joining us. If you're the same SB from RPG Maker, welcome aboard the Studio Blue Twitch stream channel. If you're a new person entirely, still all the love. But yes, that's where it came from. In other words, the game industry looked at the film industry and went, oh, we can do that. And we're going to do it better.
Snark.
So, yeah. All right.
Okay, next slide.
Right.
Okay, here is a brief history of the AAA studios.
Very brief. We did a podcast on this once.
We did.
A lot longer.
And it was not a brief podcast, no.
AAA car insurance, your boy.
Okay, now the first games were experiments, such as Tennis for Two in 1952, or Space War from 1962.
Sidebar, Space War was made on a mainframe, and I believe Space War actually used the radar oscilloscopes, the radars that were used for planes. I believe that's the case.
True commercial game development began in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Many early game developers were individual programmers and hobbyists.
Yeah, that's actually very true, Star Mage. It was the Atari era is really what launched it. There was stuff before it, like Coleco and other things.
Pong.
Pong. But when Atari really started to push forward.
Yeah.
That's when, Activision, that's when it just really started to catch on.
Certain key games in the late 70s and early 80s put games on the map.
Oh, yeah.
You had Space Invaders, 1978.
Right.
You had Pac-Man in 1980. And then Donkey Kong in 1981.
So what happened was those experiments up in the very beginning, people were trying to figure out what it was that people liked to play. This idea never existed before. No one ever knew what a electronic game,
No.
what person would want from that.
Right.
There was no benchmark. So a lot of the early games were kind of spitballing. And as we've talked about in our previous things, like what makes games stick, what makes games age well. They were learning during the Atari and television era. And you were having things like, Space Invaders, which that stuck. That was your wave shooter.
Yes.
Pac-Man, which is literally immortal.
Yeah.
And Donkey Kong, which introduced us to, among other things, Mario. And the gaming world was at SB. You were so true.
Yes.
It's not even a joke.
Until the ET game attack.
Yes.
Yes, that leads me to the North American video game industry crash of 1983.
Which ET was in part of that problem.
Yeah.
The video game ET for Atari had a massive budget poured into it, and it was an absolute disastrous failure. Honestly, I think we need to pull the old DLC not included podcasts and bring them forward again, because we talk about this history.
We do.
This almost destroyed the industry. Yeah, the first
Yes, it did.
Well, it was, right. But what happened, Berkelios, is it started a trend.
Yeah.
That nosedive, and it was 2 years, a 2-year nosedive.
Yeah.
Until...
So, after that crash of 83, things didn't recover until 85 with the introduction of the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Right.
The success of the NES proved that game development could indeed make money.
Right, well beyond what it was before.
Yeah.
The NES system just changed everything.
Yeah, it did.
Nintendo had been in there before. Nintendo had been making games for a while, but with the actual NES, which they called, remember, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yes, they did.
Right, exactly. Berkelios steals words right out of my mouth. You want to help stream this, Berkelios?
Yes.
No, seriously, Berkelios, you know your shit. It's true. They called it the Entertainment System because they didn't want to use the word game console because of the crash.
Yes.
So they were marketing. Remember, we talked about it, I think, like about 2 weeks ago. You'd have commercials of families sitting around playing the NES. My voice is, you're cool, buddy. Maybe scripting. All right. So you'd have families sitting around playing on the NES, playing Duck Hunt, playing Super Mario Brothers, whatever. So it was a family entertainment system, and that did it.
That's what did it right there.
Changed the industry in a positive direction. Revitalized it.
Yeah, they pitched it to where, hey, this is family game night.
Yes. Star Mage has it. The Famicom, which is what it was called in Japan.
That's right.
That's right, the Nintendo Famicom.
Okay, so moving on in our history lesson. The console war of 1989 and the rise of 3D gaming from 95 to 2001 created a need for the highest quality games from studios to compete with other studios.
I mean, if you want to sit back and be philosophical, you could say that Mario versus Sonic drove the industry. Because Sega and Nintendo were sparring over who was going to get the most people.
They were.
And, I mean, Super Mario World still, I think, is one of the highest grossing games at the time of release ever. Yeah, Nintendo versus Sega. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
And it wasn't even a thing until the PlayStation came around, which then, of course, changes it further because of 3D.
Yeah.
And it truly drove it. So now you have two companies that are incredibly popular.
Yes.
And they're struggling to make the most bottom line. So suddenly this quality started getting pushed. Quality.
Yes, it did.
And yes, Berkelios, the Dreamcast was ahead of its time. That's why it failed. Not because it was a bad system. It is an amazing system.
It was an amazing system.
Yes. And yeah, SB says Sega does what Nintendo don't. It's true.
Yes.
It's true. Sonic is fast, Mario is slow.
So in 2005 and 2006, when Microsoft's Xbox 360, Sony's PlayStation 3, and Nintendo's Wii came out, the idea of AAA development became mainstream.
So the term had existed in the industry prior to that.
Yes.
It had been around since, like we said, the early 70s, 80s, 90s. Pick a term. We said 90s for the sake of this lecture.
Right.
But this was when mainstream, AAA, people talked about, we were a AAA game. He says, not mistaken, there was a game in Dreamcast, one of the Sega consoles that gave rise to game piracy. Yes.
Yes, it did. Yes.
I do not recall the name of the game, but it was definitely a GameCraft game. Yes.
Yeah.
That's when you started having your, not DMC, I think it was DMC, your digital copyrights.
Yeah, digital copyrights.
Yeah. Excuse me. Surprisingly, as a concept, someone actually managed to get a working prototype of Sonic the Hedgehog working on the NES. I'm not surprised. The hardware is close enough. It's just how the cartridges were read.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, AAA Studio lore is awesome. And how was the MZ stream? We had fun. And it wasn't MZ, it was MV. We played Star Mage's game and we enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. So, moving on, before we move on to the next slide, I just want to say that it was competition, which is about as capitalist free market as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
It was competition between companies that forced the idea of we are AAA quality.
Yeah.
And because of that, the AAA industry became a thing that the world now knows. And yeah, you were being a punny guy. Oh, you're fine. Espy, you're going to fit along. You're going to fit in just fine.
Just fine.
Just fine.
Okay, next slide.
All right.
Okay. While the first use of the term indie game is unknown, the idea of the independent game developer started in the 1980s.
Oh, yeah.
When the game development companies focused on console systems, giving rise to bedroom coders and shareware to create games for the PC.
That was actually a term, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Shareware is a term, as you know. Bedroom coders is what they used to call your very first indie developers because they were so poor they were coding in their bedroom.
Yeah.
It was originally a derogatory term. If you weren't working for a company, if you weren't sitting there in an office, in a cubicle, on a desk, sitting there behind a desk working on a game, there was a point where the industry did not consider you to be a developer. You were just a hobbyist.
That's right.
And it was highly derogatory for a long time, as you'll find out in a future slide.
Yeah, it got pretty elitist.
It was super elitist, which is a lot like the film industry and the music industry. Where if you're not... Oh, all right.
All right.
Hello, Espy. Oh, yeah. All right.
Excuse me.
So that elitism came in from the other industries, unfortunately, and kind of got us where we're at today. So please continue.
Okay, so the indie game term came from the independent music industry, which was called indie music. Indie in this context refers to someone publishing music without using a major record label.
Right, and the reason that it actually came more from indie music and not indie film, because they're all kind of interconnected, is because indie music was more accessible at the time.
Yes, it was.
Than indie film. Indie film still was gaining its momentum. Remember, you're talking about two industries, music and film, which were hyper closed on their doors for the longest time. Music is a little easier to break into because you're just putting out a sound. You're playing at a concert. You're doing this and that. You know, then you put together a CD and you sell the CD at your concert.
Right.
So independent music was more accessible and easier to do than independent film.
Right.
At that time.
At the time.
But you could build a case for either one. When in doubt, follow the yellow brick road. Exactly. And yes, Star Mage, before we go any further, it took a long time.
Yes, it
for them
did.
to get respect. A lot.
Laura Parker for GameSpot defines it as the business of making games without the support of publishers.
Yes, and that is a very good, just standard definition.
Yeah.
Once that I fell into a pit. Mario died. You died, Paul. The Yellow Brick Road is made. You know, you're not wrong, Berkeleos. Hey, in the previous stream, the Yellow Brick Road was made out of cocaine. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, next slide.
All right.
Okay, here is the history of indie developers.
Oh yeah.
During the times when the console wars were in full swing, there was a power vacuum in the PC gaming market.
Yep.
People previously referred to as bedroom coders.
Derogatory.
These, i.e., were hobbyists making games in their bedrooms. They started releasing shareware. This is software that could be played for free but required money for a full version.
Right, and there were tons of things back then. You had shareware games, shareware utilities. Heck,
I had lots of shareware.
some of the best at the time, some of the better antiviruses and compression was built off of shareware. In fact, I believe WinRAR is shareware, and it's still to this day used. There was a shareware version of WinZip. So the idea of shareware wasn't just the video game market.
No, it wasn't.
But
It's all different ones.
It pushed it forward.
I had some shareware video games too.
Yes, absolutely.
Puzzle games.
Puzzle games, yes. Watson's Maps.
Yeah, Dr. Watson Maps,
Right.
Sherlock. Sherlock
Yes.
was a big one.
Yep, Sherlock, Moriarty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as SB says, one of the first shareware games I used to play was One Must Fall. I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the first shareware games I played, God dang it, it was one of the, you know what, it never comes, Doom.
Doom?
Yeah, Doom.
Okay. However, the releases of Wolfenstein 3D in 1992 and Doom in 1993
I derp.
showed that PC shareware could be used by the mainstream developer, and the indie scene died to merely being art house games that were cute.
Yes, welcome to the stream info link. That's why you follow earlier. Thank you so much. Sharewares are basically the non-commercial games of our world. Yeah, they really were. What shareware was, Star Mage was a chance for someone to put something out there and ask for money so they could keep developing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything changed in 2003
Oh yes.
when Valve Corporation released Steam,
Yes.
the first widespread digital distribution platform.
Yep.
As more distribution platforms such as GOG.com and Origin came into existence, the need for a publisher was suddenly gone.
So we're going to talk about these two bullet points together because
Yeah.
it was kind of a fall. Indie games took a fall even harder than the original AAA studio fell.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So they went down for 2 years. You know, from in 83 to 85.
Yeah.
Indies took a nosedive, like massive.
Yeah, they did.
Because you had these games like Wolfenstein 3D, Doom that were super accessible, and yes, as SB says, Doom is still popular. It is.
Yeah, it is.
Wolfenstein 3D and Doom were my games growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Those were like my shooters. And it just was very hard at that point, and the indie scene died because at that point there was no way you could get the game out. When companies like whoever did those games, ID Soft, put it out, you know, just so it wasn't until Steam. It was really Valve, the creators of Half-Life and Half-Life 2,
Right.
truly saved the indie market. See, Berkeley says everything changing when the Steam Nation attacked. Yes, 100%.
Well, yeah.
Steam did it. We'll remember saying early days of Steam when Half-Life 2 was being worked on. SB, yeah, it's at first when Steam first came out, I did not know what to think of it other than this is going to change everything.
Yeah.
I remember that being the one thought when I saw what Steam was. I was like, well, this is going to change everything. I didn't know how, but I knew it was going to change things.
Yes.
And not so much as Kickstarter, more like putting your wages in front of. Yes, exactly, Berkeley. Shareware is, here's something I made, and I give it to everybody in chat. If you really like it, throw me $5.
Right.
I will either make 0 or 16 or however many times 5.
That's right.
So if there's 20 people in chat, I'll either make $100 or 0.
That's
somewhere
right.
in between. That's shareware. For some reason, just remembered Carmen Sandiego and Dave. I love Carmen Sandiego.
Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, I was hesitant to see. Same here, Gryphon. I didn't know what to think. I just knew it was going to be a game changer. I was like, is it going to do good or is it going to be a hack platform? SB says it was around that time GameFAQs used to be called Sega Sages. Yes. Yes, GameSpy was still a popular comment.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, it's great to have people here in the chat who remember these things.
Yeah.
This is really good. Yeah. More like a post-received patron.
Oh, yeah.
You're
It
not
actually
wrong.
was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got to give the spiel, don't I? Let me give the spiel real quick.
Go,
before we move on.
give the spiel.
Yeah, if you're watching us on Twitch, please give us a follow and consider subscribing. And if you're watching us on VOD later, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a comment, and consider supporting us on Patreon. There's my spiel
There we go.
for today. We may now move on. Lots of love. The slime will jump around from time to
Yes,
time.
he will. And thank you. Hey, Shadow Jones. Welcome.
Yeah. All right, back to the thing.
Okay. However, as the concept of AAA game studios was already mainstream,
So much so.
the term used for those who made a game without a publisher was reverted to indie developer.
Yep.
However, now instead of it being an insult, it was a badge of pride.
Yeah, people took time away from, people at first were like, well, this is a horrible thing, and now they're like, no, I'm an indie developer.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good thing.
So if you are on this stream and you are an indie developer, even if you're solo, which is a little different than working for an indie studio, wear it with pride. Wear it.
Yes.
Being an indie developer is a thing to be proud of nowadays.
Yes, it is.
Infolink says, from my experience, it was also Big Fish Games whose starting points. Yes.
Big Fish Games.
Big Fish Games.
Yeah.
a lot of those places kind of branched out from there. Really, it was the constant distribution network platform, CDNs. That's what did it. All
That's what did it.
Yep.
Okay, next slide, please.
Oh, yes, this one.
Being an indie developer was once considered the kiss of death for your career.
As Chris Crawford, the developer of Balance of Power, once said, and this is a quote, "If you want to do a game, do it for fun, but don't try to do game designs to make any money. The odds are so much against the individual that I would hate to wish that heartbreak on anyone." He is by far considered to be one of the grandfathers of game design. He's looked up at to and respected, and he made this quote because at the time, you weren't going to make it if you were an indie developer.
No, you weren't.
This was, of course, 1984. However, shall we?
Yep.
I love this next quote coming up. I freaking love it. You ready?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. Nowadays, some indie developers can't imagine being anything other than one.
So from 2014, and the man, the myth, the legend, Lord Lanning, the creator of Oddworld, said, "I'd rather not make games than go effing be a slave for public companies who care more about their shareholders than they do about their customers."
Yeah.
Oddworld Abe's Odyssey is still one of my favorite pacifist platformers. I love the Oddworld series. And yeah, this guy said that.
Yeah.
This guy who is also more modern, so much respected as a pioneer in the career, in the industry. Boom. Yeah, EA took a page out of his book years ago. Yeah, I wish so. SB, you will find as you get involved in more Studio Blue streams, there are certain AAA studios that we kind of look at and go, EA's one of them. He's one of them.
So what a change in attitude in 30 years.
Yes. Yes. And it is hero level, Gryphon.
Yeah.
Growing up, people like, if I can go back to the slide.
Yeah, go back.
People like him were people I looked up to.
Yes.
This is me growing up, young Teal, after his father bought that Commodore 64 and I started programming in BASIC. This guy was one of the people I looked up to. Nowadays, these are the kind of people I looked up to.
Yes.
People who are willing to look at the AAA industry and say, we can do what you do. We can do it better.
We can do it better.
We can do it smarter. And we can do it humanely.
Yes. I like that last part.
Yes. Yeah, egotistic. Well, what was it? Jeremy on Pure Ponage?
Yes.
I'm not going to go and do the full speech, but he's like, EA can suck my I got one for the E.
And one for the A.
All right, here we go.
Okay, next slide. Okay. The strengths of working for a AAA studio.
So now we're going to actually talk about what the good points and the bad points are, because despite everything, there's actually some real good advantages to working for a AAA studio.
Absolutely. Positions in the development team are already filled, so that if an artist, a game engine programmer, a level designer, a writer, etc. are needed, they are already there. Outsourcing is usually done on an entire game level.
And if it fails, they can just scrap that whole outsource and go back in-house. Like they did for Final Fantasy VII Remake, making it into an amazing game instead of a disaster.
That's right. Lots of funding means you will likely make more money, especially if you are lucky enough to become a lead designer, where you can make anywhere from $70 to $90K a year.
So much money.
Or creative director.
Hello, Hot Tower.
Which you can make $80K to $120K a year.
Yeah.
You can also get bonuses or profit sharing if applicable.
And I know we all have heard horror stories about AAA studios and profit sharing and salaries. And yes, the horror stories are what you hear. What you don't hear, just as prevalent, are the people who make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a very comfortable living. So peel back the sensationalism that's anti-AAA for a second. You have a very good level of jobs, for the most part, job security income.
Right.
And he says Fallout 76. Yeah, they're still talking about Fallout 76. We do not speak of Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Randy Pitchford. Thank you, Berkeleos. Nothing else need to be said.
As more money can be lost.
Sorry, it's just Randy Pitchford. They're hissing at each other.
That gave us something mentioned.
Well, because of what he did for the profit sharing for the entire Borderlands 3 team. See, that's
the unforgivable.
You hear about.
Yeah.
What you don't hear about because it doesn't make headlines are the teams that make really good money and make bank. Without doxing myself, both of the studios that I worked in when I was down here, that I worked here in Houston, both of them took care of their people.
Yeah.
They really did. Did they end up making it? Well, one of them's in business and one of them's not, so volatile industry. But they took care of me.
Yeah. Okay, so as more money can be lost, the teams will run ideas past marketing, public relations, and test audiences.
Yes.
You will have a deeper understanding of what goes into the decisions that shapes the industries.
Right.
This is where you can learn about the industry itself right here.
So that's a real important point. People who work for indie developers are a lot less likely to learn about the game dev industry as a whole, not just the AAA industry, but the industry as a whole, which means that if your desire is to jump up and become a part of the industry and learn through the industry, this may be the better path for you. This is a good strength. We're going to go over, of course, the recommendations later, but keep that in mind. You're going to learn about those decisions that say, will this or will this not cost the game money? And yes, forget Aliens, Marines, and Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh god,
Forget
that
those
one.
games.
That was bad. Okay, lastly, you get to be a part of the creation of a game that will be played by millions of people around the world, and possibly have your name attached, usually via the credits, to something that the industry will remember for decades to come.
So one of the big things too is, leaving that mark.
Yes.
And you are much more guaranteed to leave your mark, especially if you had some kind of a team lead position in a AAA game.
Yes, team lead or creative director, yes.
Yes, or anything where you're invited to E3 or a convention to talk about your game, like the lead character designers and stuff. Yes, Berkelos, exactly. Like we said, prefacing all of this, there are companies that do evil all the time.
Yeah.
However, for every company that does evil, there's at least one, if not more, companies that do not do evil.
Yeah.
And they treat their people right. Or at least give them the credit that goes along with treating them like shit.
Yep, well, true.
Right. So, there we go.
Okay, next slide.
I don't even count my DLC spins anymore. SB, I would be broke. I would have no money in my budget. All right, moving on.
Okay, yes. So let's talk about the strengths of working for indie studios.
Hey, Zombie Hawk.
Hawk Zombie.
Thank you so much. Oh my god.
It's been 5 months already? Good lord.
Good lord. Hey, Hawk, thank you so much for the support earlier. Thank you so much for the sub. 5 months, man.
That's good.
We love you, guy. All right, let's do this thing.
Okay.
As Konami works like a mafia.
First and foremost, you are able to really stretch your abilities as a game developer.
Much so.
You can learn how to design levels, write dialogue, code scripts, etc., as they want general talent.
Yes.
When indie studios outsource, it's for specific tasks and resources.
I actually got outsourced to another studio for one of the studios I was working in. Again, don't want to dox myself, but I was working for a studio, working on one of their projects. The lead designer, the guy who was like the department head for the company I was working in, knew someone who was working on another project, and they said, hey, we need someone with good writing skills to do one of our level design documents for this level. And I was like, this guy. And so I got outsourced.
Yeah, you did.
That kind of thing helps when you're working for smaller studios. It really does. Don't go back and see how much money you spent on games or game development if you... Yes.
Yeah, because you look back and you're like, oh my god, why did I do that?
Never.
Oh, you don't really want to do that.
I don't even look at my Steam library.
You will crawl in your bed and cry, suck your thumb and cry.
All right.
Okay, another strength.
Yeah.
As there are far less people in the group, crunch time is rare, and if the game is wildly successful and you have profit sharing, you could become a millionaire overnight. Toby Fox, the developer of Undertale, has made over $10 million.
$10 million for Undertale. Not that it's not deserved. The game is amazing, but $10 million. Dude. So let me go ahead and kind of dissect what Teal said just a little bit. First off, we said crunch time is rare. What we are not saying is that crunch time does not exist in the indie.
It absolutely does.
Absolutely
yes.
does. And can it be just as brutal? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
There are horror stories maybe during an AMA, I can tell you guys about some of the shit I saw when I used to work for the studios down here in Houston. It's rough. Rough as. So, having said that, don't think you're never going to see crunch time.
Because you are.
But it's a lot rarer. And also, if the game is really successful and you get that profit sharing in your contract, money.
Woo!
Also, they are a lot more likely to throw overtime at you.
Yes.
Huge. The budgets are a lot more like, hey, I can give you this. So, stay this weekend to finish this block of code, or stay this weekend to finish this level, and I'll toss $3,000 in your next check.
Which, yeah.
That's more likely to happen in an indie studio, from my experience.
Right.
I like crunch time. Oh, God. I just saw the sensational thank you.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with what SB says about coding. Yes. When you're coding, you'll be like, what the hell are they doing? My biggest coding thing ever was coding in DirectX, and there were times where I would lose blocks coding in DirectX.
Yeah.
I think it was 9 at the time. Anyway.
Okay. Another
X9, not Steel was 9.
Right. Okay. Another strength. As there is very little risk to taking a chance due to smaller development costs, indie studios can be avant-garde and try new things that may change the industry.
Right.
For example, the indie game Braid set the industry ablaze back in 2008. And
by the way, if you haven't played Braid, go play Braid. Just go buy and play it.
It's a good game.
It's a fantastic game. Hit 2 years. I have trouble with 2 months. You ain't kidding, Gryphon. You ain't kidding. What I love about the indie industry in general, the indie game industry in general, is that people are so not afraid of being avant-garde that the real leaps in the industry's paradigms come from the indie industry.
They do.
Take a particular look at virtual reality. The Vive, the Oculus Rift. Yes, it's true that you have things like Half-Life Alyx, Fallout 4 VR, Skyrim VR, etc. But who really started it? It was the indies. It was the indies. The best horror game I have ever played in virtual reality to this day is still like a 1 or 2 man shop. Greenwater, Share in the Room Greenwater.
Yes.
And it's followed by Paranormal Activity, which even though that is a movie property, 1, it's an indie movie property. 2, it was an indie studio.
Yes, it was.
Not to say that Half-Life Alyx is not amazing, not to say that I don't love Skyrim and Fallout 4 VR, but some of the best virtual reality games I've played are indie, and what that tells me, Steel, the guy who's been watching this shit for decades, is that it's indies that are going to drive those technologies and those paradigms forward. Yes, the AAA studios will eventually come gobble it all up and start pumping out Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 VR. But who's going to be the ones who pioneered it? The indies. The indies. Braid melts your brain. Yep.
It does. Yep.
Play the game. Play Braid. Go buy it. I'll wait.
And another strength, the last strength I want to talk about is creative vision.
Yes.
You get to have your creative vision better realized.
Oh, yes.
You have a better chance of the world noticing you as an individual and not part of a team. And you may even one day end up with your own dream game being what's created for the world to play.
Reason, says Hawk. Let me talk about this because that's what we said.
Yeah.
Taking breaks to talk about the points.
Absolutely.
Before I get back to chat for a second. When you're working in a small team in an indie studio, there's going to be more likely the lead designer, even though they have a vision, is going to want to hear what you have to say. Not game by committee. Game by committee is terrible.
It is bad.
But you may not be the lead designer, but you're the lead level designer, or you're just the only level designer for the game. That lead designer, the writers, they're going to listen to you more because you all are working as a team to get things together. I know that it was a small game that we played, but Trom for the RPG Maker was one of the best games that we played for RPG Maker because it was a team that was working in tandem.
Yes.
And yes, I know everybody has issues, but in the end, the game was amazing because of that. So you have a chance of hearing your vision heard. And the thing is what happens if you help Mr. Lead Designer through his game, and then one day he's like, we need to make a new game. I don't have an idea. There's your chance. Elevator pitch.
Yep.
He listens. He likes your pitch. Next thing you know, your game is what this independent studio is producing. And you can say with pride, because your name will be there on the freaking credits.
Yes.
I designed that.
That's right.
That is an amazing feeling. And you cannot get that in AAA. Okay,
right.
so here we go. And for like AAA, you probably find yourself fixing small issues that few people notice. Very true, Valborn. With AAA, you can have a much better chance of doing stuff that is almost busy work.
Yes.
Almost. But at the same time, AAA games, if they're done right, are going to have better bug fixes. If they're done right.
If they're done right.
Because we've seen what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Elevator simulator. Give me a moment. There was something and you pitched in. That pit. Exactly. All right. Let us
okay. Yeah. Next slide, please.
Next slide. Bug Festa.
Oh God, Bug Festa.
We have a love-hate relationship. We love their games. We
hate the studio.
We do so much.
All right, let's go over the weaknesses, the cons of working for AAA studio.
Because there are cons.
You will rarely work outside of your assigned role.
Very much so.
If you're a level designer, you will most likely only ever make levels for the game.
Yes.
Also, crunch time.
So, not just crunch time.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Gaining new skills usually requires starting over at another studio.
That is unfortunate.
Did we mention crunch time?
Yeah.
Because crunch time is pure hell.
It is pure hell. It is pure hell, baby.
Yeah.
So again, drawing off my own personal experience, I've never had to do AAA crunch time. I've had to do indie crunch time. That sucks. But,
AAA crunch time. Oh my God.
Can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I have friends who work in AAA studios.
Yes.
They hate that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just get that off so that we can just move to another bullet point.
Okay.
If you're working for a AAA studio, you're going to have crunch time. Man, it's going to suck. Really, really badly. Also, that part about working out your sign role, that's 100%.
Yeah.
If you're signed on as a level editor, a level designer,
that's all you're gonna do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what you're doing.
Yep.
You really have zero reason. Now, as Berkeley says, they want to play it safe unless they have strong patrons like Gorilla or St. Monica. Right. There are exceptions. With everything, there are exceptions. There are some AAA studios that absolutely will let you move roles, but your chances are a lot smaller, and very few will let you go, hey, I've done this. I want to go try my hand at writing now.
Yeah.
It's just very rare.
They're not going to let you do that.
Yeah. Also crunch time.
Okay, yes. Another point. You're going to see an insane amount of money go to people who hardly work on the game that you're working on.
Yep.
Game company executives make bank.
You can throw out those names now, guys. We know it's coming.
And I'm going to make a joke here. They make bank just to send emails.
So true.
So here's an example. Robert Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, made over $30 million in 2019.
I want you all to just take a moment to read that in. I know that this is probably something every last one of you know about.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Bobby Devil Horns Kotick. Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, I don't make it a point to disrespect people. We talked about in a previous, I think it was actually the AMA last week, that we understand why CEOs and directors make the money they make. We get it.
We do get it.
However, there comes a point where they're making far more than anything that they contribute to the company at all.
Correct.
And it starts hurting other people. In fact, that AMA last week, when it goes public, soon to that point when we're talking about it, Teal, who has been worked in the business industry since forever and has worked with those executives, can tell you that while sometimes it's, there's a level that's allowed and is permissible. Yeah. A lot of it, when you get to like Bobby, go Bobby Kotick. Just basically, yes. At that point, no. It's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. Please continue.
Okay. Another weakness is mistakes.
Oh, yes.
Mistakes can be very, very costly.
Very costly.
If a feature or story point doesn't appeal to the widest range of audience possible, it's going to be cut. The content that you pitched or worked hard on may be suddenly removed.
Now, I've never experienced it as much as a friend of mine who works for, I think it's either Obsidian or it's Obsidian, has experienced, but I've had my content cut. It's very painful, but it was a small amount. It was a little bit, in comparison. She actually had an entire portion of a script for a game get cut, and that's painful.
Yeah,
and that happens, but it happens a lot in the AAA industry.
It does.
It's gonna happen. Record revenue last year followed by the firing. Yeah, basically.
Yes.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, unless you are extremely lucky, focus on working as management. make your way to lead designer, creative director, or an executive. Or if you just so happen to be at the right place at the right time to be publicly recognized, guess what? No one's ever going to know who you are.
And that also is painful. I don't like the idea of me putting my sweat and blood into something and no one ever knowing who I am.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I don't give my real information out. It sucks because it's a part of yourself goes into a game, and all you solo developers out there know that.
Yeah.
You create something, and it's a part of it. I mean, I love my buddy Hawk, and I think it's great that he's proud of what he made. And everyone else, Star Mage, all you people out there. I'm not calling anyone particularly, these are the names I can see in front of me. Be proud of what you make.
Yes.
It's your name, it's your soul, it's your heart. Be proud. AAA industry doesn't give a shit. They don't care. That is a negative.
Yeah, it is.
That is a negative. Yeah.
So that's it for the negatives working for AAA. Go ahead and move to the next slide.
Oh, yeah.
Because let's talk about the negatives for working for an indie studio.
Because they exist.
Because, yes, there are negatives. First of all, you need to know a little bit about everything. And you need to keep learning about those topics in order to remain relevant to the studio.
Yep.
Case in point, some indie developers end up stuck in a contract-only position.
We'll talk about that, but first I want to address what Valborn says. He says, my friend who works in an indie company works roughly 60 hours per week during crunch time. Pay is low for the expertise required. Extremely tough to deal with, especially if you have a family at home waiting for you. It is.
Yes.
And that's what
yes,
said.
it is.
Even indies, it does not matter.
That's right.
However, you're gonna get it's less likely an indie studio is going to run your soul into the ground than a AAA, but it's still going to happen.
It's still going to happen.
Valborn posted. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's AAA, indie, or what. If you get crunched, if you're in crunch time, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Crunch time sucks, and it's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to hear about your friend. I hope that he or she's able to get moving. Get up and make it happen, and either get onto something better or weather the storm. What else we got?
Okay, so you do need to know a little bit about everything.
Yes, as SB says, artworks, writing, music, and computer tech support, jack of all trades. Well, that's kind of a thing, though.
Yes.
You kind of have to be, and I believe our buddy Drifty actually said that from Jabub Gaming. He said, if you want to be a developer, especially solo, you got to know how to code, you got to know how to write, you got to know how to design, map, sprite.
All of it.
It's absolutely true. You got to know a little bit of everything. And then Hawk, can you write very well, Hawk?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so moving on to the next point.
Moving on down.
Less funding for the studio means you are going to make less.
Yep.
The average US indie developer salary is $79K, but the majority make less than $26K a year.
This is why I hate economic averages. I really hate them.
Yep.
Because average is true. It's going to show an average of all the monies across the board. So when they say the average indie developer makes around $79,000, that seems really enticing. But then you realize that only about 25% make up that level or higher.
Right.
Everyone else makes pathetically low.
Yes.
And 26K is that's normal. That's a more normal thing. So Valborn, your friend, I feel.
Yeah.
Because they are probably getting paid that lower end, which is the vast majority. Way outside of what they're worth.
Yes.
And that is a massive, massive problem with the indie studio industry. Oh wow, SB. Oh, I'm sorry. Hope you're okay.
Yeah.
That's rough. I can sort of map atmosphere as my strong point. Booba Hotep, you do it very well.
Yes.
Well, if you're going to participate in group or design your vision, I personally consider a disrespect to others if you're not willing to at least participate in other components. Then brings you to the panic and level of skills you're not strong with. Let me reread that because I didn't quite click. Hold on. Berkeley says, well, if you're going to participate in a group or design your vision, I personally consider it a disrespect to others if you're not willing to at least be participating on the other components. Which then brings you to the panic on the level of skills you're not strong. I see what you're saying, yes. So in an indie studio, while you may be primarily one thing, you have to be able to work together on every aspect of the project, and if it's your project, Berkeleos. So let's say Berkeleos is working for an indie studio and he pitches to the owner a game idea and that is accepted, you are going to be doing all kinds of shit. You can expect that your ass is going to be all over the place. You're not going to be sitting back going, you do this, you do this, you do that. You want that to be a manager at a AAA studio.
Yeah.
You're going to be very participatory in an indie studio working on your vision. 100%. Hope that answered your question there, Berkelios, even though it wasn't a question.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about the funding.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Because I did a little bit of diving. I did some deep diving into this.
Yes.
And, profit sharing is actually kind of a new thing. Okay.
It is in the studios. Yeah.
And that's because it came from the general entrepreneur sector of the economy,
right,
where profit sharing became a big thing.
Right.
But in terms of an indie studio, what I found is any profit sharing that comes directly from the success of your game, it means, well, that's a wide range. You can make very little money, or you can make what we call Minecraft money.
Minecraft money, yes. And Berkelios, it should. That really should. If you felt a sour taste in your mouth just now, and it kind of trickled to the back of your throat, that's how I feel on a regular basis about the way that people in the industry are treated. That, yeah, you be a manager. Like, if you want to sit back and do this, because at that point you're literally lazing your way through game creation. No, so if that made you feel we're on the same page, bro. You can't spell managing without mana because you need to feel the burn. I actually like that. I think I'm going to swipe that one day.
Yeah, swipe that.
It's going to go on a bumper sticker.
So, profit sharing from a game that didn't do well, you're going to get just peanuts, okay? Mm-hmm. But if your game did really well, you get lots. So, it really is so dependent on how well your game does.
Absolutely. And not just your game, the game that the studio's involved in general. And that's why we talked earlier about some indie developers. Hey, Tron, welcome to the stream. We talked about some indie developers getting stuck in contract-only positions because a lot of labor laws, especially here in the U.S., allow for that. Mm-hmm. And you are literally stuck working 1099 your entire career. And that is a dreadful place to be.
You don't oh my God, being a 1099 contractor.
Especially if you're a 1099 contractor, which means technically you can work for anyone, but they're kept so busy you can't. And I've been in that situation, not in the game industry, in the tech industry.
Yeah.
Where I was a technician working for a company. Actually, I think I was doing artwork at the time, 3D artwork.
Yeah.
And they were paying me shit, but they kept me so busy, even though I was a 1099, I couldn't work for anyone else.
Yeah.
It was a mercy when I got out of that one.
Yeah, they were pretty mercenary about the whole thing.
Oh, I hated them. And all I could do is picture an old running gag called Mages and WoW. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny, SP. But yes, before Teal wraps it up, basically, as far as the indie developers and money goes, it's a crapshoot nonstop.
Yeah, it is.
You're never going to know whether or not your next round of paychecks and bonuses are going to be pittances and you have to eat ramen and hot dogs. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's mixed together. Or if you're going to be eating steak and sushi.
Right. Still talking about money.
Yep.
Most studios use the profits of their previous games to fund their next game.
100%.
And any single break in the chain can shut the entire thing down, costing you your job.
Oh, yeah.
Many indie developers spend their careers moving from job to job.
Which is stressful.
Yes, it is.
Job insecurity is one of the most stressful things in the world, and I can tell you that. I was fortunate that the studios I worked for during my stint, very good. I enjoyed working for them. Oh, good man. But that's not always the norm.
No, it's not.
There are people who literally move from studio to studio, sometimes moving out of state if they don't accept virtual, although nowadays that's becoming more popular. Mm-hmm. And that's super stressful, not knowing where your next job is going to come from. Some people are able to make it work where they contract themselves out to multiple studios doing technically what are gigs. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
gigs are still not a steady thing. It's called a gig for a reason.
Yeah. There's a reason why Teal and I formed our own company and started doing what we did prior to the pandemic, because it was the only way to get regular income. I plan on sticking to be a game maker hobbyist. Gryphon, you may not be wrong, man.
It is tough to make it.
It's not an easy industry.
From decade to decade doing this.
Yes.
And more often than not, you find yourself in a household where one of you is doing this and the other one has a steady day job.
Yes. Or both of you are trying to balance out your gigs so that one has the money to do something while the other is looking.
Yep.
And that's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
SB says, if they keep racing from studio to studio, does that mean they're doing the Mad Dash in Indy 5? I need to reread your stuff before I say it out loud, SB. Tron says, apparently people trying to game development start cybersecurity. It's easier. Don't quote me on that. I wouldn't say wrong. I would say it's easier to get. I would say a lot of things related to computers that are not game development's easier.
Yeah, it is.
Berkeley says, that's more the work for hire contract, right? I got informed of those Stargazer. Yes. Work for hire is exactly contract. Yeah, it's like we hire you to do a task.
Yeah.
And then what's supposed to do is this. Like, I hire my contractor to make the models for Rosenhearts. And I have the specifications. We have a contract drawn up. I pay them X amount of money at X amount of milestones for the creation of the models for Rosenhearts. When it's done, I thank him, I shake his hand, and I say, hey, we'll call you if we need you. He goes on to another gig.
Right.
That's how it's supposed to work. The way it works a lot of times, and it's shit, is, hey, I got to keep doing this, and keep doing this, and they keep piling the work on you, and they keep paying you, and they pile more and more slowly.
Yeah.
Keep paying you. They never not pay you, but you don't have that ability to move on to something else because you become reliant on that regular income.
Yes,
and
you
that
do.
Is shit.
Yeah.
That is the one thing I think that pisses me off more about work for hire contract than anything else.
The exploitation is disgusting.
Tron says, easier to get a job somewhere, I should specify. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes, anything other than game development is probably easier when it comes to the tech industry.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm already in IT security, Gryphon. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. And you probably are doing really well.
Right.
I know we've talked about that before. First job at IT. Yeah. Well, same thing here, Tron. I actually got my first degree in MIS, and I worked in IT because of the .com boom, and I made fuck tons of money.
Right.
But it isn't what I wanted to do, and that's why I transitioned to film and then eventually game design and stuff, because I want to be a creative. But yeah, I could probably drop everything, go back into work at the IT industry and make a bank.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to.
Well, it's
not what I like.
Yeah, it's not what you want to do.
You're probably right, Gryphon. You're probably right. Okay.
So I just want to wind this up, this particular topic up by saying there is a strong possibility that you may spend your entire life broken in obscurity.
Yes. And I don't want to scare you guys away because we're going to get to the good points in a second, but the advice points. But
you need
to know,
to face this possibility that it may not go how you want it to go.
I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to be remembered.
Yeah.
Same thing with Teal. All right, moving on.
Okay. So, here we go. Next slide, please. Yeah, cough up your lung and then go to the next slide.
True on that. If any other game.
Go to the next slide.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right. Should you go for AAA or indie?
All right, here we go.
You may want to go to work for a AAA studio if you, 1, you want a stable career in the industry, because if you have a good work ethic, you can get another job if yours is cut.
Yes.
Number 2, you are more interested in being part of the industry than having your voice heard within that industry.
Right. Do you want to be a part of it, or do you want to be one of the ones known in it?
Number 3, you want to learn in-depth information on the main thing you enjoy in game development, whether it's levels or art or music.
Whatever.
And number 4, you would like to be able to have people know what game you're talking about when you brag that you've worked on a published video game.
True story.
Yep.
True story. All right. I will comment on what Berkeleos and Tron say in a second because they bring up great points. Gryphon too, but let's move on.
Okay. Now, should you go for an indie studio? You go work for an indie studio if you, 1, have the ability to float yourself during times you aren't working for a studio or have another source of income.
Right.
Number 2, you're more interested in having your voice heard within the industry and having your ideas given credence. Number 3, you want to broaden your skills and don't mind having to keep learning in order to remain relevant.
Yep.
And number 4, you'd be okay with people possibly not knowing anything about the game you're working on or having never even heard of it.
Teehee.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go over, actually, before we go to the final points. Berkeley says be realistic, but don't let this take you down. 100%.
Yes, correct.
100%.
Yes.
We are not giving, and I mean, Berkeley, I know you know this, but it bears just saying for the public, Studio Blue does not attempt to bring anyone down from being a AAA or a indie or a solo developer.
No, what we want to do is give you all the pluses and minuses. Here's the pros, here's the cons, to help you make an informed decision about where your career path lies.
Because in anything, the good parts are good, the bad parts are bad, and the more you know, the better your decision's going to be for what's right for you in your career.
That's correct.
And that's what I tell everybody. I tell that literally to all the people who have worked for me, or us, as I say in Studio Blue Land. I always say, let me give you the information and then you make the best decision. I say that to all the people I advise. I say that to all my friends and family members. I said it to my nephew a few weeks ago when he was asking something.
Yep.
I can't tell a person what to do, and I don't want to scare you with the bad. I want you to know the good, the bad, and then from there make the decision that works.
That's right.
Tron says it should be a hobby until you start seeing success, and that's not a bad idea.
Well, that's not a bad idea. You know, especially if you're on your own, and you've got bills, you got families, you have things to take care of. You're gonna need to have that income.
Yes, it's perfectly okay for you to work on a game in your spare time when you're not working your day job, raising your family, spending time with your partner or spouse. And if it goes out and it becomes successful, make that your career.
Right.
Because people do that in film and music and writing all the time.
Yes, they do.
One of the most successful indie writers, self-pub writers I know does that in his spare time. So yes, absolutely. Tron, you're 100% spot on. Point 4 is also a dangerous one because of how many games had major ties to a certain name, like Todd Howard, Sean Murray, and Right. Well, that is true. To kind of go back to here for a second. Those people are exceptions and not the rule.
Yeah, they're exceptions.
Your Todd Howards, your Sean Murrays, those are exceptions. And unfortunately, those people who get those bad names because of controversy sullied the industry and whatever they're working on.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that is a risk you have to take. You have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And then you say you take the good, you take the bad, and there you are. You have the facts of life.
Actually, okay, I can sing the song.
We gotta do it.
You take the good, you take the bad, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life.
High five, babe.
Thank you.
We're gonna be singing next stream.
Yeah.
No, moving on. There was a segment about Poppy. Yeah, well, we should. No, there isn't, but we need to talk about it, Tron. You need to talk about it because it is true. You can get a super bad rep working AAA.
You can. You know, it's a risk. It's a risk. You know, it just. It's
all, but everything in life.
Everything is going to be a risk. Yes.
There is nothing.
But going into it with your eyes wide open.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Making the best informed decision you can make.
Yes.
That is your best shot at making it.
100%. Shall we move on to the last?
Let's move on to the last.
All right.
Okay.
Our final points.
Okay, so why join a AAA studio?
So we're titrating it down into just 3 points.
You'll gain financial stability.
Much so.
You will have game recognition and skill specialization.
Some of the best you'll ever get.
Yes.
All right.
And why join an indie studio? You have a stable schedule, personal recognition, and skill set expansion.
Right, and what we mean by schedule stability, we don't mean not working crunch time. We mean you have the ability to do things in your life and move them around. And if you do, indie studio.
Right.
If you're willing to just throw yourself into it 100% all the time.
Yeah.
More of that. Yeah.
Right.
All right, moving on.
Don't forget sanity. I like that.
Sanity. Sanity is that little bit there that it's a little stat that slowly decreases as the crunch wears on.
Okay, move on. That's it.
All right. Put this keyboard down so I don't
Put the keyboard down.
Steal accidentally closing the whole creator classroom. So let's talk a bit about what Tron says. And then wouldn't that be every video game? Oh, you would just not. Berkeleos is cutting.
Hates EA.
Hates EA. He'd be hating.
Yeah, he'd be hating.
But it's okay. I don't like him either. What's that one game you love? The Sims?
Yeah, I love The Sims.
Yeah, I don't like anything EA does except for...
That's the only game I play from EA is Sims.
Now, I love BioWare.
Yeah.
Like Dragon Age and Mass Effect.
BioWare is good.
Especially Dragon Age. But anyway, let's talk about Tron says, is there a possibility of getting a bad rep? Yes.
Yes, there is.
There's no segment, but yes, there is a possibility. Whenever you're in a in a studio that has massive amounts of money to throw around, you're going to have some idiot say, this is a good idea because this last one worked.
Yeah.
Or, hey, live games as a service worked for this company, it can work for us. And next thing you know, you're going to have Anthem. Or something else that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And you have a chance, if your name is highly attached to it, then yes, you can get a bad rep. Now, people like Todd Howard, yes, we're going to talk about Todd for a second.
Yeah.
People like Todd Howard can weather that storm simply because of what the studio has done. Yes, has he taken a hit? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is he reviled as much as Randy Pitchford? No, not even. However, there's things to worry about. So you do have to watch that, Tron, and anyone else watching it.
Yeah.
EA Games, some of my fondest gaming memories. The first computer we had at home was a compact with FIFA. Cool.
Oh,
yeah.
a FIFA 98.
The same Pyres Kotick. Yeah. I lost a lot of love for EA a long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's more because I kind of fell out of love with their game model. The way they handle their games.
Yeah.
And then when I found out that the BioWare does stuff through them, I kind of got icky. That is actually the Todd Howard song, SB. It's called It Just Works.
It Just Works.
It's hilarious. Real life example. I am now in employment after working as lead game designer for 7 years. Oh, that is amazing. Working in Russia.
Wow.
That is good. You see, you're looking for a job past 2 months. Info, first off, I am truly sorry for you. That one industry pro to the other. I am truly fucking sorry.
Yeah.
The industry is not forgiving.
It's not. It's
just,
wow.
Just
Yeah.
like the film industry.
Yeah.
It is not forgiving. When you could be on top of the world, if the world gets pulled out from underneath you, it's shit.
Yeah, you're
So-
in one day and out the next, and it just there's no real predictability about it.
And that doesn't matter if it's indie, AAA. If the rug gets pulled out, the rug gets pulled out. So
Yeah.
first off, man, I'm gunning for you. I hope you get back on your feet.
I do too.
I really
Yeah.
do. All the love to you, man. But for especially certain virus going around, yes. Oh, dude, the pandemic is wrecking everything. But enough of that. Let's just talk about the reality of it. Not to scare you guys. It's a rough industry. Just like the film industry, just like the book industry, writing, music. But it can be one of the most rewarding things in the world.
And here's the thing, as tough as it is, okay, it is easier now to get into it than it was just 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
It's not
the gatekeepers have been pushed aside a bit. So right now it's easier to get in. Okay, that's not to say that it's going to stay that way.
Nope.
But it's no matter what though, it's still tough.
It is. Now, having said that, it is now more rewarding than ever.
Yes.
Because video games, when you can sit there and you can say, what point did video games become the mainstream thing? I don't know. I mean, some people say it's when WoW exploded. Some people say it's the advent of mobile games.
I think, I've heard the smartphone mobile game argument before.
Right. And, that may be the case. That may not be the case. That's well beyond the scope of this classroom. But it's now easier to get in and to make it.
Yeah.
Now, as people like Info and like myself can tell you, there are times that rug gets pulled out and it sucks. However, now, at this moment in time, if you want to get into the industry, whether it be AAA or indie, this is your shot. This
is your shot because there's, like I say, I've seen the pendulum swing.
Yes.
And right now it's swinging toward, it's the open. It's low barriers to entry.
Right.
But you're eventually that pendulum's going to swing the other way, and you're going to start having higher barriers and more closed doors.
And that's something that's important to know when it comes to anything economic, although Teal could explain this so much better than me. But everything is cyclical, correct?
Yes.
So you're going to get to a point where it's hard again, and it's going to get easy again. And it's going to be hard again and get easy again.
So right now it's easier.
Yeah.
Easier to get in. Yeah.
And easier to succeed and advance because you get into the right company, the right time. You work hard. You show that you can innovate as well as just do the job you're paid for.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a work ethics class, which is, well, again, beyond the point of this classroom. But you want to have a strong work ethic. and you want to always try to innovate, and that's everything, but always try to bring more to the table.
Yes.
And show how you can make the company, whether it be an indie studio, a partnership, or a AAA studio, better. So yeah.
And Gryphon's right. With all the negative press aimed at AAA right now, it's easier for indie developers.
100%.
But understand that AAA is going to rally, and they're going to start shutting those doors again.
Right.
So take advantage of opportunities now. If you're going to go the indie route.
If you're going to go the indie route. If you're going to go the AAA route, get your portfolio up.
Yes, get that portfolio up.
Show some pieces, and then get in there and start doing it.
Yeah.
Let's see. So 99 bugs of code. I mean, you ain't wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
And then it multiplies like cockroaches. Some say people started playing it oh god, Berkeley. VR mode for Miaca. So actually, right now, if you want to get into indie, or you want to solo, but especially indie, find a VR studio company.
Yeah, VR.
Find a game either making a mobile game or a VR game. One of those two. That would be like, if I was going to give you my prediction just based off of industry info I see right now, best thing, mobile game, or VR game,
or VR.
One of the two, or both, but one of the two. AAA just joined CD Projekt Red. Oh yeah. Well, if you can work for CD Projekt Red, let me know when they're hiring. Right?
Yeah. My hat's off to you. Let us know if they're hiring.
CD Red. Yeah. I'll work on the next Cyberpunk. So yeah, those are the kind of things, and we could probably do a creator classroom one day on ways to make yourself sellable.
Yeah.
I think that's a topic, was how to sell yourself. So if you guys want to see something like that, let me know. CD Projekt Red is at that point where they're just successful and well liked. Just let's Greed run the show. Yes.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, when you get so big, and you start becoming more beholden to your shareholders and your high-level executives than you do to your rank and file, and especially your end user, your players.
Yeah,
okay. At that point, it's just topsy-turvy, and yeah, you start getting hate because
100%.
Greed, because decisions are only made for the few and not the many.
We went into about 3 months, 2 or 3 months ago, we did a really good deep dive creator classroom, specifically about why the gaming industry is failing.
Yeah, we did.
And one of the things we went into is stuff that you may not think about, that there's costs you don't think about that actually force them to push their bottom line. And yes, greed is absolutely a primary factor.
Well, greed is a factor,
but it is not the only factor.
No.
There's a ton of reasons why the industry is crapping itself.
Yeah.
And yes, CD Projekt Red has problems on crunch. That is,
of course they do.
True.
Yeah.
They're not. No one is squeaky clean.
No one.
It does not exist. There is no AAA studio that I would say are the good guys.
Nope.
There's just the lesser bad guys.
Right.
Because crunch has existed since forever. It's shit.
Crunch is just part of the job of the industry. You accept that.
Yes.
It's just how it is.
Right. Now, as Gryphon said, yes, they're better than most other big names. 100%.
Sure.
But are they the Saints? No, they're not the Saints.
No.
And I actually need to play the Witcher series at some point. Everyone keeps talking about it, and I own all 3 games. Any other questions or things y'all want to talk about? Any other things related to this that you all want to bring up? This was a short one.
Yeah, it's a short.
This was a short one. We kind of timed it this way because this was our first RPG Maker Theater night.
Yes, so we wanted to see how that would go and how it would play out in the time slot. And now we have a general idea.
Right. Now that we know a little better, we can actually plan for those 2.5, 3 hour creator classrooms, which we plan on doing. I'm going to take a second to wet my whistle.
I know. We had to kill a slime. I was not happy about that.
See, the Studio Blue slime, he doesn't know about it. That's why he's smiling.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
He's wearing his professor cap.
When he finds out, he's going to be a frowny face.
Yeah. Okay, Info asks, may I ask, I was working with Unity 3D for years, but RPG Maker looks awesome for small story-driven projects. But I only know maybe 20 successful RPG Maker commercials, like To the Moon, Skyborn, and One Shot, all which are amazing games. Info, there is nothing wrong with the RPG Maker engine.
It's a good engine.
It is a solid, and it's deceptively powerful. However, it is good for making 16-bit style.
Yeah.
Even if the graphics are higher than that. Console style games that are like the old Final Fantasies. That's what they're like. So if you want to make a game that's like the old Final Fantasies or Phantasy Stars, Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to do to set your RPG Maker game above all else, to make it like your one-shots and your Skyborns, get some grade A artwork.
Yeah.
Customize all your assets, because people roll their eyes if they think it's an RPG Maker game, and that's an unfortunate stigma you can't get around. Immaculate sound design.
Yes.
Use your sound design. We need to do a creator classroom on sound design. We're talking proximity sounds, sounds that are triggered through events, all that stuff you use for your Unity engine. Literally, take the audio concepts, the audio engineering concepts from a 3D engine and transport it into the 2D engine using the 2D engine's eventing system and scripting system, plugin system. Also, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's okay. Also, try to work with the resource issue of the RPG Maker engine. RPG Maker, especially MV, which is the newest one, the MZ comes out in like 3 days, has an issue with CPU threads and memory allocation. It has a problem with that. And you need to work around it to make your game run efficiently.
That's right.
And in info, if you work in the industry and you've worked in engines, you know exactly what I mean when you say if it's not optimized for that CPU is a problem.
Yeah.
RPG Maker is not really optimized. So you got to work around that. But if those parameters fit in and you can get the god tier graphics and the amazing sound and, utilize those scripting systems, I keep calling them scripts, the plugin system and the various events, you can make unbelievably good games.
Yes, you can.
RPG Maker. So, go for it.
Yeah.
I endorse it if it fits the mold of what you want to do.
Right.
Now, let's catch up. So, Berkeley says, as said by a certain scandalous Brit, crunch is not a penalty of the workforce.
It is the failure of management.
You just quoted Jim Sterling, and I agree with him.
Yes.
I 100%.
Yes.
I sometimes wonder if Jim Sterling has actually worked in the industry before.
Because he
nails it.
He nails it.
He does.
Really.
He says he's not. He says he's just a fat guy who likes to play video games. That's his own words.
Yes, but I don't know.
I don't know. There are times
he's very, very savvy about some of this stuff.
Yeah. And I know he has the irate persona that yells and it goes, because of the AAA, that kind of thing.
Right.
I know he has that personality that some people hate, but when Teal and I watch his videos, we're like, he's nailing it.
He's nailing it, yes.
He's absolutely nailing it.
We need to scroll back up because we're missing some stuff.
So it seems like a lot of the problems can be resolved with, oh my god, the more realistic expectations of the people announcing the games going to a project management course. Yes.
Project management is so important. And if you don't really know what I'm talking about or you haven't worked with it before, take a course, please, because you will not release your game on time within budget if you don't have project management.
Coming from project management backgrounds, we can tell you that is going to solve a lot of your problems. And yes, it is a creator classroom in the very near future because it's one of the ones we've already made and packaged is specifically our primer on project management. So Berkeleos, you are are you watching us? Do we have Berkeleos cameras?
Probably.
Seriously, I feel like he's spies on us. It's great. No, but Berkeleos hit the nail on the head. 150,000%. Okay. Booba Hotep, we need a slime with a horrified face.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
SB says, I had to switch from VX Ace to MV because VX Ace, for all intents and purposes, it could easily suffer from heavier problems. Yes. Just if you're talking about RPG Maker and resource allocation issues, yes.
Yeah.
Sound design will help me a lot. Sound design, we need to do a sound design course. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
Absolutely hated particle scripts and the like. Yeah, particle effects, you need them.
You have to have them now.
Gotta have them. So better, Gravely in Debt. Wasn't that game where that person with that chainsaw kept yelling at her at pianos or something?
Yeah, it had something to do. I think the whole premise of the game was about a bat. It was a very small bat.
Yeah, very small bat. Kind of doing the bullshit.
Yeah. It wasn't very well done. It had its problems with music. And
We love you. Let's give him.
Okay.
Let's give him the props.
Yes.
Hawk did a community game where him and his streams put together a comedy RPG Maker game.
Yes.
And we loved it. Yes.
It was good.
Does it have its flaws? Of course it does. Is it riddled with in-jokes? Yeah. But do we love it because of the passion?
Yes.
As I said to you on stream the other day, the passion in that game shows in every moment.
Yes, it does.
So that's the thing, too. If you have passion, then,
Well, it was spawned from my favorite character that was ever created by Hawk, Shaberta! Shaberta!
My Shaberta.
Oh, I love Shaberta.
My Shaberta.
I cannot get enough of Shaberta.
Hawk, if you're still here, we haven't chased you off. Pop the link to your game on chat.
Yes, pop the link up there.
Hawk's a good move. Okay.
Okay.
Got a free RPG Maker MV copy on me right now. Anyone want one? There you go. Hey.
There you go.
Hey, Bubba Hotep, do you want to do that maybe Wednesday? We can hand that out.
Ooh, that'd be a good idea.
If you got a key, I'm serious. If you want to do that, we can make that. You can pop your name up on stream and have you be the one who gives out a thing. But
yeah.
If you want to.
If you want to.
Yeah. There you go. On sale right now, too.
Awesome.
All right. If you saw what I have been doing, you could understand why I've been hard at work for the last 3 years trying to constantly make things work. Layers, particle effects. SB, since we just met, I would actually like to see more about what you're about.
Yeah.
Because I feel your pain. Berkeley OC has just worked in voice. He has just worked in voice. Berkeley, I'm not sure what that means. He has just worked in voice. Info said, oh my gosh, so many things just popping. Info is saying, thank you for the info. A lot of MZ looks promising. MZ does.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we hope to see really good things come of MZ, and I can't wait to see some of the games that people have created using MZ.
Yes. Then we Hawk laser eyes us because it's Hawklander. The zombie, we love you, Hawk. Still haven't played that game. Sorry, Hawk. Bubba Hotep, go buy a copy right now and play.
Yes, yeah. Bubba Hotep.
Yes, and they have a copy. Okay, cool. Yeah, poke at us later, Bubba Hotep, if you want to do you want to sponsor a giveaway.
That'd be great.
And
yeah.
He has just worked in voice. Okay, so Jim Sterling has just been a voice actor.
Okay.
He hasn't been in the community.
Well, he must be well connected because he's got a lot of intel that you wouldn't get unless you've actually been in there in the trenches doing this. So he must have seen a lot of this firsthand.
He's done it often unpaid for indies, which sucks. I'm so hard to hear that.
My God, he had never got paid.
That's
Jesus.
We've been unpaid. It sucks.
Yes, and I walked away from that shit too. No.
So having said that, if either Jim knows someone else, knows other people in the industry, or he has got an amazing eye for trends. It is one of the two. Either way, back to Jim Sterling for 1 second, regardless of his personality on screen, Teal and I have a ton of respect for him because he nails it constantly.
Yes, he does.
And I mean, he is literally on point with what problems are. The closest thing that he's come to actually being in the industry instead of digging in the dirt. Latest videos on Ubisoft. Yeah, the nature of predatory monetization.
The predatory monetization videos are really good. I highly recommend watching those if you haven't, because he lists out all of the issues with it and
why they're issues.
And why they are issues.
And then what could either be done to fix it. Now, yes, is his persona the snarky, angry Brit yelling at everything?
Well, of course.
Yes. But if you get past that, his information is on point.
Yeah.
Constantly on point. When my game is finished, it might be I'm releasing it and no interest in making money from it. Well, SB, if you are on the Studio Blue Discord, which you're invited, of course, pop it in the game Whip if you have anything to show at all.
Right.
Project Whip, and I'll take a look at it at some point. It just it sounds interesting, especially if you put 3 years. I will always give someone a look.
Yeah.
If anyone else has anything else they want to bring up.
Yeah, scroll through the back scroll. Yeah.
Where do you find these courses you were talking about? YouTube channel. Oh yeah. So welcome to the stream, P Joshua 5000.
Yeah.
They're not courses; they're creator classrooms, which is what this is. I call them courses because I literally think a mile a minute. But if you go to our YouTube channel, which if someone could please pop that onto the chat, since I can't do mouse right now. You can actually see our backlog of them. They're very simple. They don't have the thumbnails or just a single color that has an attention grabbing highlighted line like they don't care or make your character.
Right.
And then it has a picture of us in the slime. So it'll say creator classroom, or it'll be like how to do writing tips or build your character here.
Right.
It's very obvious it's not us playing a game. Thank you, Graceless.
Yeah.
The world's greatest moderator right there.
Right there.
Thank you. So yeah, we are legit always putting out every Monday a creator classroom about something related to either the game industry, the writing industry, the film industry, or some measure of creativity involved.
Right.
All right, so it reminds me tomorrow's Unreal ATB because yeah, Berkeley's, man, I'm so excited about what you're doing with the Unreal Engine. Ooh. You beat me to it, Grace. But Boba Heptech gives us slime.
Yeah, love the slime.
Love. I think unless anyone else has any other topic points or questions, we can go ahead and call it soon. I do want to say this. First off, this is going to be our new schedule.
Yes, it is.
So at 6 p.m. Central to about 9 p.m. Central, we are going to be doing an RPG Maker theater. We call it RPG Maker Theater, and we play a game for Dagiga. We actually stream to the RPG Maker webpage.
Right.
Their YouTube channel.
Yeah, so you have to click over there in order to watch it.
And then we take about a 30-minute break, theoretically. And then we start this classroom, which will last anywhere normally between 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
Okay, so Joshua says, I bought MZ and I'm looking forward to learning how to build my first game.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with that, because MZ looks amazing.
It really does. I mean, for an engine that, I still want to wait and see what it does. You know, we're holding the judgment of giving it the A+, but we like what we've seen so far. I will say this, Joshua, if you're new to this, Drifty from Driftwood Gaming and T for tutorials on RPG Maker.
Yeah.
Okay. Studio Blue, pat my own back, for game development and writing theory. You know, the theory behind how to make it all work. And then go to places like Hawk Zombie to actually see in action games that do and don't work. And also he's a great person to hang out with. But there's others. Toasty RPG Time. He gives amazing tips. That kid is flying in popularity.
He is good, yeah.
He is so good. And there's a lot of those others out there. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting you, my brain. Neo Soul Gamer is a good one. You know, get involved. And be parts of the community, by the way. Welcome to the community. People think 5 miles and think 500 more to be the streamer who talks 10,000 words to brag to you all. Wait,
that's a song.
Oh,
it's song lyrics.
Oh my god.
And he will think 500 miles and he will think 500 more.
I'm a dork.
Yeah.
I am. Now the song's in my head. You know, I was sitting there. It's true though. I go really fast and I miss certain things. It's true. That's been that way since I was a kid. Haven't thought about what game to make. We're actually going to wait and get MZ after the first update.
Yes.
We usually like to wait until something gets updated, patched, just once. But legit, there's no way we're not going to get it because we're supporters of it.
I love it. Yeah.
Way of driving people nuts. You're fine, SP. Where was I? I was talking about what we do.
We do.
Yeah. So that's our Mondays. So basically from now on at 9 o'clock, we're going to stop streaming to RPG Maker Web's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Take about a 30-minute break, again in theory. And then at 9:30, again in theory, stream a creator classroom like this one for 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
This is actually a shorter one because we knew this was going to be a short presentation.
Right.
Then, of course, if you're new to us, continue listening. Because Wednesday and Thursdays are our critical plays where we play a quote-unquote AAA game. And we analyze the shit out of it while playing.
And have a good time while doing so.
Yep. Wednesdays, Teal plays Dragon Quest XI.
And tries not to get lost.
Thursdays, Steel plays Horizon Zero Dawn.
And is encouraged to explore.
Yes, because he doesn't do that. And then Fridays is our AMA where we sit down for 2 hours, chat, drink our adult beverages, chat about the week, talk about anything. And you guys got us to do voice acting last week.
Yes, that was fun.
We got to do a scene from The Princess Bride, and Teal and I were giggling about that the whole night.
Oh, yeah. It makes me want to watch. It made me want to watch Princess Bride again.
Yeah. Let's see. We need to know what engine can do bare bones because it will be so for a while. You're right, Berkeley's. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Maybe we should get it when it releases.
Well,
let's get one copy and then buy the other copy.
Maybe so. Yeah. Remember, we've been burned in the past by getting something by being early adopters.
Yes,
we have gotten burned.
And not that I don't trust them. It's just you get burnt so many times it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Inconceivable. I can't say it means.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely are going to be on the train to get it.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Booba Hotep says, I bought the 20% discount on the pre-order goodies. I am ashamed. No, Gryphon, they haven't. I mean, would they? I don't know. I don't even think about that.
I have no idea.
I don't actually think about that. This just goes to show, Sometimes still don't think.
Really?
Oh, hush you. By the way, for those of you who don't know, she actually runs the business side of Studio Blue. I'm the creative head.
Yes.
Because I actually run this business to the ground. If for those of you, she is our financier.
Yes.
Our marketer. She's a wonderful person.
Yeah, it is.
And she also keeps my ass on track. Is there any advantage? Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Is there any advantage of using the
Stream version?
I bought it through RPG. Oh, okay. I think the only advantage for Steam that I'm aware of, Joshua, is the updates are auto pushed.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything else, but I'm not the right person to ask, so I would actually go and, if not post on the forums, Joshua, ask Drifty and T when they stream it during the day.
Yeah.
Because they would probably know a little bit more about the tech end of that.
Mm-hmm.
I will be honest, our technical knowledge is almost all on 3D engines.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know what we know about the RPG Maker engine's resource issues because we've seen it at work.
Right.
So, unacceptable. We are all shocked with that revelation.
Shocked, I say.
No one's shocked. Thank you for the false sense of security there, Gryphon.
Yeah.
That and the workshop access when it becomes available. That's right, SB. There's also a workshop, which is kind of like modding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steam Workshop access. Yeah, so there you go, that one too. So Joshua, that's it. You get free patches. Well, not free patches. You get instant updating when the update's pushed, and you get workshop access. So updates for the core MV.
Yeah, you do have to manually update your project. That's just how it is.
And that was the other one. Thank you, Berkeley. I forgot about some random dude. Him and William, the Unpro Pro, have a bunch of shit out too, and it's awesome stuff. I love their videos. But yeah, that's my big issue with also MV, RPG Maker in general, is that your projects don't auto update.
They do not.
There's no way to do it. You have to manually do it.
Yes.
I mean, not every engine like auto updates your projects, but at least gives you the compatibility note. Can you or can you not work it? RPG Maker and MV just kind of breaks your project.
They can. They can. Yeah, so
that's why we froze completely on RPG Maker when we were doing Rosenhearts and MV. Because we were like, we're just going to stay at this version. I think it was like 1.5.4 or 0.6 or something.
Yeah.
And we were like, we're not going any further because it's going to break the project.
You get to a point where you have to stop the updates. Yeah. Because that particular project can't handle it.
And that's actually any engine at all. Like, for example, we decided to rip up and put some stuff back together for Rosenhearts in the Unreal Engine because of 4.25, which is freaking amazing.
It has some really good features.
So we were early enough in things that we could.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be able to put Rosenhearts in Unreal 5. At least not
the
first game.
No, we're not going to be able to do that.
To be fair, Steel, he is some random dude. Well, he is. Oh, that's fine, SB. Whatever you got to say it. It's cool.
Yeah, MZ does have a featured update and roll back your projects. Yes.
I hope they do that. If that's the case, Josh, that is... Oh, I love you, Kodakawa. I love you, Dagaika. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because as a person who deals with versioning, I cannot stand that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that's the case, then
Woohoo!
Well played, MZ.
Yeah, virgin number, right?
Virgin number. Well, you're not wrong. Ooh, we got a bunch of new follows tonight.
Woohoo!
We got a whole bunch of alerts. Reverie says, I'm always afraid of updating in case it breaks something, so having a rollback feature would be amazing.
Yes, it would.
That's always back up your projects anyway.
Yeah.
Get yourself a copy of Carbonite and or Dropbox and keep that shit backed up. Carbonite preferred because it takes off.
I use Carbonite on all my computers, and that has been a saving grace a few times when my shit has crashed and burned.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we got a new office system for Teal not too long ago, and we did a full Carbonite of her old system.
Yeah.
And then it took us like literally 10 minutes to set it up, and then we just went
and just slapped all the files back on it.
Just like we went out to dinner and came back, and it was normal. So yeah, Or an external hard drive, that too. My only issues with external hard drives is or that get hit rug. But yeah, all those are good solutions. My issue with external hard drives is if they break, they break.
Yes, and I've seen them do that too, and it's been real shitty.
There's no foolproof way to back up your data, but that doesn't mean you should not always back up your data.
Right.
Anyway, pointed to a person who actually had a manuscript on a floppy drive, and that's all she ever worked on. Did not end well. I don't want to go.
It was horrifying.
Not a good story. Multiple devices, even better.
Yeah.
Redundancy, super important. That's one thing I learned in IT. Redundancy, redundant backup administrator. Yep. Redundancy. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last 10 copies.
10 copies.
Yeah.
One of the first games Teal and I ever worked on, we actually had 3 areas that we would back up on, and they would all be very different, so that if something happened, we would still have a copy we could roll back on.
That's right.
And what we did was we ran a nightly batch file.
Yes, we did.
We would finish working on the game. We would make sure the network was clear, and we would just run a batch file, and it would move the copies of the game from the master over to these 3 different sources. One was a network, one was a RAID, a network RAID, like a RAID 5 or something, and one was an external hard drive. Great.
But we never had a problem because we did that.
Yeah. Any other questions related to tonight's thing? I don't mind chatting with you guys, but we're again kind of late and hungry.
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't save your work during a lightning storm.
Oh God, yes. Don't talk to me about the damn lightning or power glitches. Jeez.
There's nothing in the world more awful than when something is saving and the power goes out.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
I have lost massive amounts of work because of that damn shit.
Not related to studio, but related to other stuff.
No,
yes.
but it doesn't matter what. Yeah. Just woof.
Yeah.
Never mind.
We should have a mini class on backups. We totally should. Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends.
Tonight's stream is not brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. It's brought to you by that slime on the screen. It's actually tonight's stream is brought by you guys.
Yes.
Our wonderful viewers, our subscribers on our Patreon.
That's right.
Please consider loving. Throw us a little bit our way if you want to.
Okay.
Otherwise, say thanks for the stream, guys. All right, so anyway. Valborn says, thanks for the stream. I'm working a bit hard to drop a comment, but I'm enjoying your stream. Going to catch up on Friday in the AM. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please do. I had a thought.
Just the one.
Just the one. I need to have a button that kind of like starts doing a wrap up.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, you guys are amazing. All the support and love you give us.
Oh yes, the slime support.
Oh, thank you.
Woo! SC subscribe. Woohoo!
Okay, I now feel comfortable talking without sounding like an idiot. We never ask for anything from you guys, but whenever you do something like that, that just shows that you see value in what we're giving.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to us. Even more than any monetary gain, the fact that you see us as valuable to you, that gives a warmth in our hearts that carries us throughout the day. So
yes.
Thank you. Wait, what, on your Patreon, you mean waiting to tell your game goals? I mean your game is finished and polished. We're going to be revamping our Patreon now because RPG Maker Theater. So for right now, yes. If your game is gold means released. We will play your game on a night stream.
Officially published, officially released.
However, if it's an RPG Maker project, that's getting supplanted because of RPG Maker Theater. So we're going to be reviewing our Patreon again.
Right.
But if you're working in an engine other than that, like Unreal or Unity or Godot or whatever, absolutely. If you have a fully polished, released game that you could release commercially if you wanted to, and you're a certain level on Patreon, we absolutely will do a critical play on it.
Yes, we will.
We will do a critical play on it. However, let me get back to this. All we ever ask is that you watch and learn.
Yeah.
That's literally it. If you guys take away any piece of information that enhances your craft as a developer, a writer, anything, then we've done our job.
Yeah, we're here to educate as well as entertain.
There you go. All right, so I think I am going to go ahead. I will give one more minute while I finish my water before calling it.
Okay.
So if anyone has anything earth-shattering they want to say it now.
World shaking.
Not what I'm drinking. I love this moment.
Yeah.
You guys have been amazing.
It's been a good evening, a full evening.
Your positivity has been making me work on my layer art for my game. Oh, thank
Yay!
you. That is, we try to be professional, upbeat, and positive.
Yes.
So thank you, and thank you. And we got,
Look at that little character.
That is so cute.
Oh my god.
Oh, that is so cute.
I love it.
I love it. All right. Oh, wait. I still haven't seen Boo Boo Hotep.
Boo Boo Hotep, Boo Boo Hotep, Boo Boo Hotep.
Are you satisfied? You guys are amazing. Thank you, Reverie. All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's go ahead and call it.
Yes.
The main thing is making sure it works before it's pretty. There you go.
Yeah.
Make
Please
it work.
make it work.
Oh, SB. All right. We're gonna call it for reals now.
Yeah, we're gonna call it.
For reals.
Okay.
Calling it for reals. All right. Thank you, everyone, for an amazing stream tonight. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us earlier on the RPG Maker. Thank you for joining us here if you did. Wednesday for Dragon Quest XI, Thursday for Horizon Zero Dawn, and Friday for our AMA.
Yeah.
We love you guys so very much. You are what makes Studio Blue Studio Blue. So as I like to say,
yes,
if you like what you saw, leave a smack down that like button below, subscribe to our channel, consider supporting us on Patreon, and connect with us over Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.
Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone